Yes, he did.
So that's what I'm saying, is like, I believe the analysis, the original analysis, when I reviewed it, I believe it does include the Commonwealth's roll-offs, which would make the G for Life the lowest bid, based on including the Commonwealth's roll-offs at our new rate with Riverview.
But
That's what that financial analysis states right there. In my opinion, that's what that states right there. But I believe, like I said, Glenn did do that financial analysis. I mean, I looked at it, the numbers look good compared to that analysis. Again, myself, again, I can talk to purchasing. Richard did most of this work out of my office, but I wasn't under the assumption that we were not including the chemicals roll-offs. But
we are not, I can tell you right now, we are not, because we renegotiated the tipping fees with Riverview, which is gonna save us a substantial amount of money. They went from $20 and changed to 17. So we are gonna take the roll-offs over to Riverview. That is not included in this.
Because that analysis actually shows with the vendor tipping fees and with the Riverview tipping fees. It shows kind of like the breakdown of that.
Yes.
So any savings that we do get from Riverview will just increase those savings. Because if you look at the bottom part, if I may just try to clarify that schedule you guys are looking at. The bottom, there's two sections. In option 3, there's two sections.
Right.
There's a cost, and there's two sections. There's a cost of doing the roll-offs with the vendor paying the tipping fees.
Right.
And there's also a cost with the roll-offs with paying the Riverview tipping fees. Now you see in there, you got $20.33 per unit. That's what Keith is talking about. We negotiated that down to like a $17 number, not exactly sure. So that's just going to be extra savings to the city. So if, like I said, looking at that
That's
analysis.
the second set of numbers, that's why everybody's.
Well, that $20,
160,
when this
right?
spreadsheet was created, the final numbers from the negotiating with the Riverview tipping fees wasn't, this just happened
I
recently.
mean, it just shows everybody paying 53,160, which is at 1772. So that was trying to acknowledge that whatever the end number would be, there would be a cheaper tipping fee at Riverview than what each of these guys may have quoted.
That is correct.
That is correct. Because of that change in tipping fees.
And then once we add that cost in, because Rizzo was a lot cheaper in roll-offs than Advance, that's how they become the low bid by roughly $1,900.
Exactly.
But they're only the low bid if this contracting quote is including roll-offs. Otherwise, Advance is cheaper by 14 grand. If you're only going to add what we're doing on option 1 and option 2, and we're not yet factoring in option 3.
But we're going with the disposal and hauling price.
Isn't that subtotal of option 1 and 2 on this chart, or no? Maybe I'm looking at the wrong numbers. I'm looking at this line here. This is all we're taking advantage of in this contract?
Yeah, this is option 1. This is the city-owned buildings for pickup and disposal. And this is option 2 for the county.
That's all this contract's covering so far.
Just pick
So
up
we're
and
gonna
disposal.
pay one of these prices.
Correct.
So we would take the low bid of those and not yet factor in the bid on option 3. That's what I'm hearing you say.
Keith, the only reason that in terms of the roll-offs, that they were not being considered, or at least the thought was not to consider them, was because we could apply them to the minimum under the new Riverview contract, correct?
That was the philosophy, but after talking to Riverview, after they gave me their lowest price, they didn't want to include that. So what they did was adjusted the 1 ton to 100 ton for the plus or minus, so we were comfortable with that. Because there was an escalator or a de-escalator after the 17 ton.
Right.
So what they did, it was only a 1 ton, and we said, wait a second, that's 1 ton's not enough. So they agreed to do 100 ton difference, high or low, which we were very comfortable with. That's what we did.
So if we went with this, our dumpsters at the compost site, they would be hauled by GFL. But they
No.
would go to Riverview.
Yes, yes, yes,
All right.
yes.
Are we doing option 3 on this contract or not? Because if not, then the answer is no. We wouldn't yet know who's doing the roll-offs. Because we're not covering it under the
No,
contract.
GFL would be hauling the roll-offs because of their hauling fees. But if you take the tipping fees that we're paying now, that makes GFL the cheaper. because the tipping fees went to 17 and change, and now it's not the $20.
So this contract is covering options 1, 2, and 3.
It's covering,
Still doesn't match.
yeah, I guess you're right, I guess it is gonna cover all three, the total roll-off pickup.
You take 10% and
But this says disposal with vendor price.
There's, Keith, there's two of them. If you see, if you take the option 3, there's actually 2 sections.
Yeah, we
There's
got-
vendor price, and there's with the review price.
And we're doing it with the Riverview price.
Correct.
Yes.
Which ultimately, you look at those analysis,
Disposal at Riverview is 17.72 tons, 2,000 tons. Yes, I'm looking at the
it's
analysis.
almost like an analysis, we probably should have eliminated that first section underneath option 3, because that's not even going to be considered.
Right.
Because from what we
We
can
could,
tell,
that could have been provided better
if the vendor does the tipping fees, it's going to cost you more than if we paid the tipping fees at Riverview. So we're going to use the Riverview tipping fees. So,
For the roll-offs.
that's correct.
Yes,
So,
that is correct.
but, I mean, so that we're all in agreement though, is it safe to say that this contract will include the roll-offs at the compost?
For hauling only.
For hauling, and the tipping fees will be, because I know what you're saying.
Yes.
The contract's not going to include tipping fees because tipping fees will be paid by the city
No, I'm just
at
trying
a
to,
lower rate.
I'm trying to evaluate the
get it?
analysis that was given to us, and it's 3 options, and it will cover all 3 options.
Yes,
And it's
yes,
going to be
but
the
it's,
lowest of option, the lowest price listed in option 3 is what we're
That is correct.
engaging in. So,
yes,
so that's how we get to Rizzo being low by $1,900.
Exactly.
Because of that, okay.
sorry about the
We're
misunderstanding.
good. One of the things that stood out to me was the fact that whether we go with Advance or Rizzo or stay with Republic, we can immediately save 150, 160 grand. So this whole issue of what we've been paying for all along is the accumulation of lots of other people's trash that we had no idea that we were paying for.
It's $170,000 savings.
A year.
Yes. I would not recommend Republic.
No. I'm just saying, we basically got lucky that the contract expired, and we would have been paying this next year.
We got lucky that we actually started looking into this.
So am I assuming that that's right, that they would pick up in the city, they pick up all these little dumpsters and pick up
No,
businesses?
there's specific dumpsters that we are only picking up.
City
No,
owned.
what I'm trying to say, let me finish, is that they're picking up, Republic, right now, they're picking up, let's say, 5 businesses, then they pick up ours.
They admitted it.
And then we're being charged for those 5 businesses. Okay.
They said it's a wash at the end because it works out. They give us some
No,
excuse when we
no.
brought it up. I agree 100%. But the savings that we're looking at is substantial. It's huge. And when you add this on to the next contract that we're going to provide you with the savings on the tipping fees that we negotiated, you're looking at another big savings between the two. You know, we're saving quite a bit of money on it, bro.
There's like $2.61 a ton, that's what I was just looking at.
Yeah, $2.61 a ton, that's $46,000 annually. With over 5 years, we're looking at $230,000 just with the other contract of savings plus the 170 a year. 230 minus 3% in the last 2 years increase. There's a
So I
3%.
have just one question. In the motion, it says 167,875 plus 10% contingency. Where is that on here?
I didn't understand your question.
I'm saying the amount in the motion doesn't match anything on your analysis. Unless I'm missing something.
The 167,875, which includes a 10% contingency.
Wait,
That, do you know what that comes from, Jason?
I see what Linda's asking.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's the amount of the
It should-
contract, and then that has.
Should it say
to be
205?
205,773, but again, I don't know if they knew which one of these we were going to approve yet, so I'm not sure where that figure came from.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, what figure belongs there?
Well, I like the 167 better than the 205. Yeah.
It might have been some option, a little bit more than option 1 and 2, though.
We can actually clarify that in a contract if you just want to award the low bid, and we can bring that, make sure, we can double check on that for you in the contract. And whether they or no.
I don't think council's comfortable with that. I would like to include a figure.
Well, yeah, I mean, if we take the figure for the contract that we're going to select, if we select, we go with someone else.
Right.
Through the chair, we'll get a clarification on that number. I mean, again, like I said, it's a good question, we'll get a clarification on that number.
Okay.
But if it's my opinion, it really should be the 205 plus a contingency if we want to put in there.
So
But I
that's
will,
what the motion actually says that it's already including the contingency.
that's what I'm saying, that's why we'll get clarification on that for you before the regular meeting.
Before the meeting?
Yes, we'll get clarification for you.
One of the other questions that I had addressed was about condos.
Excuse me?
Charge.
About condos. So we're talking about these, we isolated 7 condo complexes, right? So these must be complexes that have individual structures with multiple units in them, right? So these people don't get green and black hands. That's why the city's picking up at these complexes.
There's some negotiation that was done prior to me being here for these condos. I'm not sure if the mayor knows anything about
Whatever
That's a
actually
question also with it.
dictated me.
If
Yeah,
there's a
there
fee
was-
assessed, and how does that offset?
Well, I'm thinking there's a lot of condos where you put your own cans out. So these have to be structures where it's one building and
Right.
8 units, right? So we all pay taxes and we're all getting assessed an Act 179, the garbage fee on those taxes.
Why would
And so
people
they've
put
identified-
apartment buildings?
The condos are being assessed for this pickup specifically.